Engine strip, Craftsman EZ3 Lawnmower, Part 4. William Hovey Smith, 2024. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And we are resuming our disassembly of the Craftsman EZ3 Lawnmower. And some progress has been made. We're now basically down to the frame and the engine. Now I have a purpose for this frame. And whilst I go through the final disassembly process here, think about it. If you had this frame, what could you use it for? Nothing automotive. Might be mobile, but not another lawnmower, not a go-kart, but it has some potential utility for a lot of people. And we'll get down to that at the end. Now, to catch you up, we've taken all of the accessory nuts and bolts and fastenings off the outside. We have now removed the clutch mechanism. Now the only way I've ever found to do this is to actually cut it into two pieces. This was on this side once upon a time. And so we ground it off. And I did not have the strength to pull back this spring and unhook it. So we again just cut it to detach it. So now we can move the clutch assembly over to get at the last bolt that is retaining the engine. If all goes well, I should be able to use a breaker bar to break it. Okay, that's what it looks like, and its mates were here, here, and here. Now, is our motor detached? Maybe so and maybe not. We shall see. It is. And finally, being able now to get to the head of the bolt on the other side and loosen it, I'm able to get rid of this part of the clutch that caused me so much problems. What? Now while the engine is in this position, I'm going to do as much work on it as I can. And the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this pesky trash guard here. What this serves to do is to keep these cooling vanes from becoming clogged with yard cutting debris, as they're sometimes prone to do. And it was really an error to put this retaining screw on this bottom, because it makes it very difficult to remove. Yeah, you can bend down the edges and bend them back to clean these vanes if you have to. We have numerous bolts, 1, 2, 3, around the engine here that we're going to attempt to withdraw whilst we have it. Okay, nice and clean. Whatever might be said of this engine's design, it was not that it was inadequately bolted up. There were 10 screws holding it. Ideally, this plate, the bottom assembly, should lift up now and come off this shaft. It has a keyway in it, but we've already removed the 2 pulleys that were here, including the drive pulley for the mower, as well as the operating pulley for the lawnmower, were both attached to this shaft. So we shall see. Well, take that back. I do see signs of movement. Yes, it is separating. Okay. Wants to come. All right. Okay. Support this channel by buying my outdoor books, business books, novels, and recommending them to your local libraries. It should come to no surprise that there are scams in every aspect of every business. And right now there is a plethora of very sophisticated scams going against book authors. So if you have published a book or self-published a book or published it through a small press on a hybrid program and you finally got it out on Amazon, say, beware. You will be approached by those who are said to represent major publishers. And these are people like HarperCollins, imprints like Penguin, Random House, any other person, or very large bookstore chains like Blackstone in the United Kingdom. And these people give you supposed orders or say they will sell your book to a major publisher or a filmmaker and bring you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, yeah, there are people who occasionally do this kind of thing. But every solicitation that I've received recently, and these are almost 1 or 2 a week now, are absolutely fraudulent. The most recent one happened to be from Blackstone's in the UK, and they supposedly were ordering some thousands of books. But I had to buy book insurance for it. No such thing. Check with Blackstone. If you get such an offer for your title, always independently verify using a number that you developed independently. because they actually hire voice actors to play the parts of people who are really in the business or have been. So be very, very wary of any offers you receive over the telephone or through the internet. Yeah. A way to test them is say you will receive contracts only by mail. That's a little bit of protection. They don't want to be convicted of mail fraud. Make sure that you have signatures on all documents sent. No legitimate business will send you a document of any substance signed or by the acquisition team or any such thing. Again, don't send money to nobody for nothing in regards to your books, unless it's to pay the cost of publication from a legitimate hybrid publisher. Now that is an interesting little bit of mechanism. This gear has cam surfaces, and they operated against these short rods that pushed against the push rods that operated the valves. So that's how your valves were regulated. This gear was able to be removed from the lower part of the shaft here by tapping on it, and I used a tool with a curved end there to apply pressure one side then the other, because it did have a retaining seal which I had to overcome to actually drive it through and off of this shaft. This part here was retained by this long bolt through here, and once I removed it, it shifted in position. Okay, we have removed it. And this was the something somewhere connection. Okay. And something connecting to the piston here. We have succeeded in pulling the flywheel finally. We did go and get what is called a harmonic balancer puller kit with the brand Evertough. And what it has is a variety of screw sizes, and as you can see on the ad there, a central puller spider, we'll call it. So you can seat your screws in whatever you're trying to pull in a variety of different ways. So on our flywheel here, there were 2 screw holes in a straight line, and those are slotted on the spider so they could be in any variety of positions. And that central axis on top, the black thing, that is tapered. So when you put it down in the shaft, it sets in the middle of the shaft, and you apply pressure by tightening it, and it slowly pulls your part off the work. Yeah. Well, it did not slowly pull. It did not pull at all to start with, until we used some not too gentle persuasion with that hatchet there by pounding fiercely on the flywheel. Didn't break the flywheel, but it did break it loose. So after that, it was a simple matter to pull it. Under the middle of the flywheel, you see the generator. And this is like any electric generator, even if it's a huge power plant or anything else. You have your coils of copper wire, and you have your magnet spinning around it, and from that you generate an electric charge. And so it has been since the days of Thomas Edison. Still using the same thing, only difference is in scale. We have completed our engine teardown here down to its basic components. The general purpose was to separate the aluminum parts from the steel parts, as well as satisfy my curiosity as to how this engine was actually put together, since I'd never really torn into one nearly this completely. Starting at the bottom here, this is the pulley that drives the moor deck. And this is the screw that attaches it. This is the one that actually drives the transmission and the wheels and, well, makes a mower run. This tray here, which is actually the cover, contains the parts that regulate the flow of oxygen and air to the cylinder through these valves, which are operated by push rods. There are two, this is one, and bolt on to this mechanism here. This is an interesting casting of aluminum, also steel. These components here and the cylinder head here are steel. Interesting. The bulk of the engine is composed of two segments. This is the aluminum part of the bottom segment. It is held on by 10 machine screws in these various holes. Progressing up, we have the cylinder itself and its connection arm. Now, this is bolted on to the main shaft here, which penetrates all the way through the engine. Connects to the pulley down below that drives the moor deck all the way up to the top to the flywheel, and is one piece casting and machining. So this is a very complex piece of equipment to put out. The cylinder itself is interesting in that this part of the cylinder is cast aluminum, the shank is cast aluminum. These head components, however, are steel. And one reason this engine failed, besides the valves being terribly out of adjustment, was apparently because of oil getting by these gaskets. And I say by these gaskets because there are none left. I think they were just completely eroded away. And that was one of the causes of this engine failing, perhaps a major cause. Now we come to the main body of the engine here. Now, this contains these parts here, which are heavy metal. They also make a fine pair of bookends. And I intend to use them for that purpose. But these weigh, I would say almost 2 pounds apiece. There are several independent operating components that go in any gasoline engine that make it run. And one is this cute little oil pump here. And if you want to unnerve somebody, and if you're in a management position, you mount this on something and put it on your desk, and when the guy comes in, you just go, while he lays out his problems, or whatever they are, that you really don't want to hear. And there are gears, obviously, on the inside that you have seen, and these are 2 of them. And these operate the push rods here, and they work through a cute little intermediate one that sits right there that actually bumps the push rod and goes bum, 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 bum each time the thing goes on. You saw me remove this aluminum link from the inside. So that takes care of this part here. The flywheel here is one of the heavier parts of the whole engine. And it contains, of course, this generating segment here. You have these copper coils which goes past these permanent magnets all around, and that generates the current that actually runs the engine. Back to the lawnmower frame itself. What beneficial use can be made of it? Well, what I'm going to do with this is we have good corner brackets here. We're going to put them here and here, a 2x4 across, and that'll reinforce this rear end, and also allow a plank to be put as a deck and connect these 2 parts. Then what we have, guys, is you have a very sturdy work table where you can take an engine and take it apart, or service your lawnmower, or your snowmobile, or other small engines, and do it outside. You don't want to put and disassemble this engine inside your house if you have any other choice at all. You want to do it on a carport like I'm able to do, or in snow country in your garage. And this way, you have a surface that's flat. You have an area here where if you were really a fairly skilled carpenter, you can put a box or even billiard little drawers to hold your needed tools. Place your work and bolt it down to any of these holes. Having areas to drain oil and fluid out, and have a short, compact work table that's strong enough to hold small to medium-sized engines, no car engines though, and that you could even put wheels on the front and move around from place to place in your garage or carport. Push it against the side of the wall when you don't use it, and drag it out when you need it. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.